I'm Jaylen Brooks, and we're diving headfirst into the lands between today. We're tackling a question that's been burning in the minds of every Elden Ring player. Who is the strongest demigod? We're not just talking lore here. We're talking raw power, in-game feats, and the sheer terror they inflict on us, the Tarnished. So, let's kick things off with a classic. Malenia, Blade of Miquella, versus Starscourge Radahn. Speed and technique against brute force and gravity magic, right? What do you think, Mia? Who takes the crown in that matchup?
Okay, Jaylen, when we're talking about Malenia versus Radahn, it's like comparing a whirlwind to a collapsing star. You know, Malenia is incredibly fast, with Waterfowl dance that can slice through anything, but Radahn? He's a force of nature, a walking mountain with gravity magic that can literally pull down celestial bodies. I think, in a straight-up fight, Radahn's sheer power would eventually overwhelm Malenia's speed. It'd be a battle of attrition, and Radahn's got the stamina for it. Plus, his gravity magic is just too much for anyone to handle. Well, I see Nia's point about Radahn's raw power, and it's true. His gravity magic is terrifying. But let's not forget Malenia's Scarlet Rot, you see. It's not just about a straight-up fight. It's about how their abilities interact. Malenia's rot could slowly eat away at Radahn, bypassing his brute strength. It's like she's not trying to outmuscle him. She's trying to outsmart him with a nasty creeping disease. I think that gives her a real edge, you know? It's not just about who hits harder, but who can endure longer, and that's where Malenia shines, I think. Emma, you're right to bring up the Scarlet Rot. It's definitely a game changer. But you see, Radahn isn't exactly standing still while he's getting infected. He's got that Meteor attack, which, let's be honest, is an I win button against most enemies, even a rock goddess. It's not just about endurance. It's about who can land the decisive blow first, and Radahn's got the firepower to do that. So, while Malenia is certainly a tough cookie, I still think Radahn takes this one, just because of his sheer destructive potential.
Okay. So Nia is backing Radahn's raw power and meteor strikes, which I admit are pretty hard to ignore, right? But I think we're getting caught up in the initial clash and forgetting about the tactical side of things. You know, it's not just about who can hit harder or who has the bigger explosion. And I think Emma's point about the Scarlet Rot is actually a key factor here. It's a slow burn, yeah, but it's a nasty way to bring down a Titan. So, while Radahn is a beast, I'm not sure he's got the answer to that kind of insidious attack. But let's switch it up a bit, shall we? How about we compare Morgott and Mohg?
Okay, Jaylen, Morgott versus Mohg. That's a fun one. It's like we're going from a battle of brute force to a clash of cunning and chaos, right? Morgott, the Veiled Monarch, is all about calculated strikes and shadow magic, a real strategist. Mohg, on the other hand, is a blood-fueled fanatic, summoning fire and blood with reckless abandon. I think Morgott's precision might give him an edge initially, but Mohg's raw aggression could overwhelm him. It's a battle of order versus chaos, and honestly, it could go either way.
All right, Emma, I see your point about the order versus chaos thing, and it's a good one. But I think we're underestimating Morgott's resilience, you know? He's not just some calculated strategist. He's a stubborn king who's been holding the capital together for ages. Mohg's blood flame is nasty, sure, but Morgott has faced way worse, I'm sure. But before we get too deep into the shadow versus blood debate, let's shake things up again. How about we pit Malenia against Mohg? What happens when the Rot Goddess faces the Blood Lord?
Okay, Jaylen, Malenia versus Mohg. Now that's a spicy matchup, isn't it? It's like we're pitting a precise, almost surgical force against a chaotic, blood-soaked whirlwind. I think, initially, Malenia's speed and Waterfowl dance would give Mohg a real headache. However, Mohg's blood flame attacks, especially his Nihil incantation, could be a real problem for Malenia. It's a question of who can control the battlefield first. I'm actually leaning towards Mohg because of his unavoidable Nihil attack, which could catch Malenia off guard. It would be a very close fight, though. Nia, I see you're leaning towards Mohg, but I'm not so sure. While his Nihil is powerful, Malenia's Scarlet Rot is a persistent threat, you see. It's like even if he lands a devastating blow, she's got this creeping doom that just keeps on ticking. And let's not forget her ability to heal by hitting him. It's kind of like she's leeching off his aggression, turning his attacks into her advantage. I think that gives her a very sneaky advantage in a prolonged fight. Wouldn't you agree?
Okay. So Emma is bringing up Malenia's leeching ability and the persistent rot, which I gotta say is a pretty strong argument. It's like she's not just fighting, she's actively sapping Mohg's strength while slowly poisoning him. It's a real war of attrition. And yeah, I can see how that could give her the edge. But, before we get too settled on the rot versus blood debate, let's throw another demigod into the mix. How about we compare Radahn to Godfrey, the first Elden Lord? Let's see how raw power stacks up against legendary might.
Radahn versus Godfrey, Jaylen. That's like a clash of titans, isn't it? We're talking about an unstoppable Meteor versus the first Elden Lord, a battle of sheer force. Godfrey, with his earth-shattering stomps and raw strength, is a force to be reckoned with. But Radahn's gravity magic and the ability to control celestial objects is just too much. I think Radahn's ability to manipulate space and time with his magic would give him an edge over Godfrey's raw power. It'd be an epic fight for sure. Well, Nia, while Godfrey's stomps are certainly impressive, I think you're overlooking something crucial, Godfrey is a warrior, a king, but Radahn is basically a walking, talking natural disaster. It's like Godfrey might hit harder in a close-quarters brawl, but Radahn can literally pull down the stars. And let's not forget about his insane mobility on that tiny horse. It's like he's mocking the very laws of physics. I think that gives him a very cheeky advantage. Okay, Emma, I see your point about Radahn being a natural disaster with that tiny horse. It's quite a spectacle, isn't it? But let's not forget Godfrey's relentless aggression and his ability to adapt to any fighting style. It's like he's a force of nature himself, but with a more grounded, raw power. I think the fight would be closer than we are imagining, and it would be a battle of mobility versus sheer aggression. But still, Radahn's gravity magic would eventually overwhelm Godfrey in the end, I believe.
All right. So Nia is still backing Radahn's cosmic might, and I see the appeal, It's hard to argue with a guy who can literally make stars fall. But I think we're getting a little too focused on the big flashy attacks and forgetting about some of the more insidious threats. So, before we crown Radahn the king of demigods, let's throw one more curveball into the mix. How about Malenia versus Rykard? Graceful rot goddess against a madness-fueled serpent king. What a showdown, right?
Malenia versus Rykard, Jaylen. That's a wonderfully disgusting matchup, isn't it? It's like pitting a graceful, rot-infested ballerina against a giant, lava-spewing serpent. I think Malenia's speed and waterfall dance would be a real problem for Rykard, who is, let's be honest, pretty slow and easy to hit. But the sheer scale of Rykard's attacks and his lava could be a huge problem for Malenia's rot. I think Malenia would win because of her speed, but it would be a messy fight for sure. I think Nia is underestimating Rykard's sheer size and reach, He's not just a big, slow target. He's a massive serpent spewing lava everywhere. It's like, sure, Malenia's waterfowl dance is fast, but can she really get close enough to do any real damage before getting engulfed in flames? And let's not forget the sheer madness that fuels Rykard. It's like he's not fighting with logic, he's just a force of chaotic destruction. I find it really hard to see how Malenia can get through that.
Okay, so Emma is leaning towards Rykard's chaotic lava power, and I see the logic there, It's like Malenia's speed is great, but can she really dance around a volcano? Well, after all the back and forth, the arguments, the passion, I think it's clear that there's no single strongest demigod. It really comes down to matchups and playstyles. But if I had to pick, I'd say Radahn's sheer cosmic power gives him the slightest edge. It's been a blast, folks. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Channel 41 for more heated debates.